Carry on my wayward son, they'll be when you are done. Hey guys, how's it going? It is I, the real Randy Chavez. I'm coming at you today with a Pokemon sales data video. Couple of things to go over today, a couple of major things to go over today. But we're going to start off small with Skyridge. Also, Patreon down below, referral code if you play the game. From Skyridge, we have a Charizard, PSA 10, but it was a reverse holo. Yaddy? Doctor? All right. And then it's that reverse holo sold for $4,350 for that PSA 10 reverse holo Charizard from Skyridge. Base set, couple things to go over here. Machamp first edition PSA 9 sold for $450. Zapdos first edition PSA 10 sold for $9,100. Nidoking first edition PSA 10 sold for $10,100. Zapdos dipped a little bit. I think Nidoking stayed exactly the same from the last price point. Neogenesis. Steelix first edition PSA 9 sold for $233. That is a record price point for that grade by a long shot. I remember in 2018, so 3 years ago now, where I got a Steelix first edition PSA 10 for $100. Sold it last year for $500. Now the 9 is $233. So it makes a lot of sense that, again, there's in the Neogenesis set, for people that want to complete it, after base set, this is basically the base set of Generation 2. So there's not a lot of cards out there that are graded. It's a lot harder to grade that set than it is base set, even though it came out afterwards. So I think a lot of those are undervalued. Gold Star Torchic, PSA 7, sold for $901. Gold Star is very undervalued as well. Everyone wants them. As far as promos go, we have a Grand Party PSA 9, sold for $1425. That's a 9. Again, last year in August, I had what part of my trade-in for that Trophy Kangaskhan, which I only have $8,000 left on, was for like $1350. Now the 9 is selling for $1425. The Rocket set, we have a very low price point. We have a Dark Charizard first edition PSA 9, sold for $1,000. That is the cheapest since the Logan Paul increase. And from Gym Challenge, this is my sale that I did not want to do. Because again, I went from having $12,000 the other day to $8,000 left on that PSA 10 Trophy Kangaskhan. I sold my Misty's Golduck first edition. I know it took me forever. You guys were here with me when I had like 2 cards left. That was the last one. And I finally found it, for like $3,500 last year. And it's time for me to sell. Because as soon as I sold this, I was like, wait a minute. Now I don't have to sell any of my Blaine's Charizards. So I saved my Blaine's Charizards. I'm going to take a long look at this Misty's Golduck when I go to the bank tomorrow. I'm going to have to take a super long, nostalgic look before I package it up. Yeah, I do not want to do it, but I have to. It sold for $4,350. My heart is heavy. It is swollen. It cries tears of sad. Outside of that, there is something I wanted to go over. Yesterday, I did mention that Gary from Pawn Stars, a.k.a. King Pokemon, has said that he wanted to pay $750,000 for that first edition BGS 10 base set Charizard and a $50,000 finder's fee for whoever got that for him. It was the middleman. Now, during that same podcast he had with Graham Stephen, he said that the first edition PSA 10 Charizard base set, something that he has the most of, that makes up the bulk of his wealth, Pokewealth, he said that is overvalued at $360,000. Said it should be worth about $250,000. Now this is Gary. This is Pawn Stars Gary. Gary from Pawn Stars King Pokemon says that it's overvalued. If there's any advice to listen to, a lot of the time, 99.9% of the time, he's one of the ones that you want to get information from. But here's why I think he's wrong. And before all the guns and knives are pointed at me, let me tell you why. Gary has been a collector since the 50s. Baseball cards, bottle caps, you name it, Magic, Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh! Anything that he could get his hands on, he collected. That's just who he is in his heart. Yes, he saw Pokemon originally as an investment opportunity and then fell in love with the cards, and he just absolutely couldn't sell. He has the same problem I have. You buy them with the intent to sell, and then you just don't sell. You become a collector. But he was collecting all of those years for several decades before the internet. And even at the spawn of the internet in the late 90s, it wasn't really ubiquitous enough to where everyone even had it. Even nowadays, lots of people like Arkansas, Sticks in West Virginia. Some people just don't have it in Ohio. I served with someone that did not have internet in his hometown, even still, and that was in 2016. Oh God, it was 4 years, almost 5 years ago already. But because of 2016, after he went on Pawn Stars, after he can't put that genie back in the bottle, between that and Pokemon Go, all these other YouTubers doing unboxings, like you have NeoRev Pokemon, you have Leonhardt, you have SM Pratt, you have some smaller channels like mine, and then you have Logan Paul, someone that has 20-something million subscribers. People are willing to pay him $30,000 to $50,000 to just mention their product in his video for 30 seconds. Once you take the toothpaste out of the tube, you can't get it back in. This is where I think his thinking kind of goes awry a little bit, because for, again, half a century, he was collecting only really went one way. Nothing could really go viral in that time. It just slowly crept up. But now, because everyone in the world can look at a TikTok, it goes viral, has 500 million views, same thing with YouTube. Back before YouTube, there was nothing that had 80 million views. I think the first one to have it was Avril Lavigne's Girlfriend. And then you have Gangnam Style, which had 2 billion views. So it's not something that you have that was like this years prior. Even 10 years ago, when YouTube was a baby and there was not too many people in the Pokemon market. And now there is not only just collectors coming in, cross collectors coming in from baseball, coming in from Magic, coming in from collecting whatever. You have people now, like people like you and me, that grew up with it and have an emotional connection to these cards. And when there is so much want and there is so much desire for cards that only has 121 PSA 10 copies, yeah, I think the price is correct. I still think it's actually undervalued. I think all of Pokemon is undervalued. That's why I go over sales data, because I love talking about it. So only time will tell. He says within the next two or 3 years that you'll see the price back at around $250,000 a card for that first edition PSA 10. But I think the exact opposite. I think by this time next year, January 6, 2022, you'll see that card sell for well over $400,000, probably $500,000. Because I know if I had that money, if I had $5 million, yeah, I'd spend 10% on that card. Especially if it's a good quality card, and I can't find it anywhere else. And you just want to enjoy yourself. You love looking at those cards. So anyway, that's it for me. Please comment, like, and subscribe. Comments are good for the YouTube algorithm. I love you all. Meow.